we're in late December 2025. We're at one of the last areas on the boat, but definitely not the least important, probably one of the most important, the anchor locker. So when we first got to the anchor locker, we have some videos that you can see on that as well. There was quite a bit of rot, basically ground down the rot. Dean did a really good job at grinding it down and preparing it for what the next phase is. So what we're going to do now is we're going to box it all in. We're going to box it all in with 2x6s, 2x4s, and then we're also going to put a couple of layers of plywood down on the floor, because that gray area is actually the bottom of the boat, and we're going to be carrying a lot of chain and rows. So we want to make sure that it's definitely strong and safe. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're still in December. We're taking a walk around the boat. We're talking about different, let's call them enhancements, right? Enhancements, safety enhancements, changes, stuff that I didn't quite care for when we started on this, and I wanted to make it bigger, better, and stronger. Call it overbuilt, call it crazy, call it whatever you want. That's what it is. So on this particular wall, we are further along on this wall than we were on the other wall that I showed you in an earlier video. We're basically already done the knockdown, and we've already done the filling in the weirdy stuff, and now we've basically put another coat of primer over it. And as you can see, it's a lot smoother. There's no divots, there's no seams, there's no nothing. There's really nothing here. This is pretty much ready for a top coat. And then let's quickly go over to this railing. So when we first started on this boat, on this vessel, basically this railing was a single piece of plywood on either side, and they were 1x or maybe 2x4s or something like that. But you could basically, if you wanted to, kick your foot through the wall, and that was not what I was looking for. We're looking for something super strong that we could take our family on, that we can go for months out there if we wanted to, off grid, and feel safe with just about any weather that you could put it through. I think we've more than succeeded on that. We built a battleship. Some of the things we may have gotten a little carried away on, but that's so cool. That's cool. It's better to be safe than sorry, of course, especially with Mother Nature, because she'll snap you if she wants. So let's continue to take a look down here. We've enlarged the scuppers from what they were. They used to be really tiny. Now they're enlarged, so we have a lot of flow of water off the deck here. We've actually, when we redid this deck, we pitched the deck, or we angled the deck more towards the scuppers. It was flat before, and there was definitely an issue with water pooling up close to the wall here, which was causing some rot in the wall. Now we have a situation where, because we pitched it to the towards the scuppers, when any water gets on the deck, if any substantial water gets on the deck, it's going to run off this way towards the scuppers. We did the same thing with the the deck above here, or the roof, or the awning, or whatever you want to call it. We actually pitched these towards the outside as well. We actually did the awnings so that they are over the railing. So like every single thing on this boat that we've done, and I'm proud of this, we've done strategically, we've done methodically, we've done pretty slowly to make sure that it all came out just the way we wanted it, because like they say, you want to build it right, build it once, right? So as you can imagine, building a boat like this is quite costly. So we're trying to lessen the cost. We're not trying to cut corners. We're trying to lessen the cost. We're never going to sacrifice quality, but we're trying to decrease the cost of some things that we're doing in areas where we can do that. We would never do that in an area that's dangerous or needs to be safe. So for instance, we have these drawers. They're built out of the fronts are teak, and the all the rest of the body of the drawer I believe it's either African or a Japanese plywood starts with an O, ends with an E. I want to call it Okiwi or something, Okawi. Forgive me if I butcher the name. But what we're doing is we're basically taking apart these drawers because we're not going to use them in the build that we're doing now, and we're reutilizing, or we're going to utilize this wood. Why throw it away, right? We're going to utilize this wood in other stuff. So we've done that a lot around the boat. We've not cross utilized, but we've upcycled. So we've upcycled a lot of different materials in the boat that were basically garbage, right? They were garbage, but you know, one trash is another one's treasure. So basically, we took those materials and we reutilized them in areas that we could utilize them in, like I said, that are not gonna sacrifice quality or sacrifice safety. So just a tidbit on building a larger boat that, you know, takes a lot of time and costs a lot of money. Like I talked about in the last video, we're reskinning the door over there on the generator room. So these are some doors that Jim has done a really amazing job of reskinning already. These doors actually are in the stateroom. They go down into the sponsons, the hulls, the amas, whatever you want to call them. There's many different names that I found out for them. These are those doors. Basically, you know, they're semi-watertight. They go down into the hulls, we'll call them. They were in some pretty rough shape. They were kind of a strange design. They had some plastic inserts in the center. I didn't really care for that. I wanted basically a solid door. So what we did, we took out those plastic inserts, basically sanded everything down so it was nice. There was a little bit of like surface rot in them, and basically we skinned them, fiberglass them, resin them, and now they're super strong and ready to go to battle. So on this area, what we've done is basically we've rebuilt this stairwell, stairs up to the wheelhouse, and we definitely, when we decided what we wanted to do with this railing, again, like the other railing, you could basically put your foot through here, or even your hand if you got angry enough. You could put your hand through here. It was just basically plywood on this side, and a lot of cavity space in between. So there wasn't a lot of strengthening using any kind of beams behind the plywood. So what we've done now is basically tightened up the space between the beams. We've used a heavier grade plywood in order to make it thicker, stronger, better, and we've encapsulated it all in quite a bit of resin and glass. Same on the stairs. Everything is basically, like I said, crazily overbuilt. Yeah. So on this window, if you look on every other single window on this boat, it's they're horizontal. So for some strange reason, there was a vertical window in the tool room, of which we've deleted, we've removed. There's no window there. It's basically just a solid wall now. But this is one of our last pieces to change out, right, to enhance. Right now it's a vertical window. It doesn't match any other windows on the boat. It's not gonna hold up. It's probably gonna break first big thing that comes across the deck. But if something's coming across the deck this high, we're in bigger problems. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a horizontal window in here. It's gonna match all these other windows that are around the boat, and everything's gonna look symmetrical. It's all gonna look the same, because right now this window is out of place for sure. All right, so what we're doing here is we are putting down one coat of liquid rubber. Liquid rubber was awesome. They provided us with the product to go ahead and test to see how it did on our decks. So what we've done, we have a single layer coat of liquid rubber. Then we have the seams, you know, the notorious seams, that then we have to go and sand them down before we recoat with liquid rubber, because like I mentioned, the last thing anybody wants is divots, seams, or weirdness in any of their top coat. So that's what we're doing here. Over here, we've already built the engines are under here, so the heart of the boat. So what we've done here is we've already built the hatches for the engines. But, you know, what we have over here right now is just a piece of plywood taped in, because the last thing we want to do is have to rebuild hatches, or they get all dirtied up and messed up by an unusual amount of traffic. Because when we take over the boat, when we actually take the boat out, it's not going to be this crazy amount of traffic walking back and forth, stepping, dropping tools and stuff all over the deck and possibly break something that we just put together. So that's why that wood is there. But coming back to the back deck, what we've done here, like I mentioned in the earlier video, is we have one coat down now, one layer, one coat of liquid rubber. And we're trying to get rid of all the weirdness before we go ahead and put more time and effort and material into coating over what we have here. So eventually what we're going to end up with is a pretty nice, really nice top coat of liquid rubber for our back deck. On this deck, we decided to use the liquid rubber product. We have one coat of liquid rubber on over probably a gazillion coats of resin and glass underneath. Probably, I don't even know, maybe 1/4 inch of glass underneath. And this eventually is going to have 3 or 4 coats of liquid rubber, whatever it takes to make these seams go away. Part of the process in this is you put one coat of your coating on, of your liquid rubber in this case, and then you see where any of your seams show through. You go ahead and you sand them all down, to grind them all down, sand them all down so that the seams are almost gone. And then you put another coat of liquid rubber on and see the work that you've done. And at that point, it probably will be good enough, or should be good enough, to continue to go on to the second, third, and fourth coat of a liquid rubber. And by that time, all of the seams will be gone. You'll have a super strong coating that should last for quite a few years to come. So these plexiglass windows are kind of old and worn out. So basically our plan is to take the whole wraparound window system in the wheelhouse, and we're going to replace it all with 8mm polycarbonate, make it a lot stronger. These are actually 1/4 inch, I think it's acrylic or plexiglass, I'm not sure, but part of the the plan for the new window system is we're going to build a big wood track with a channel for the new polycarbonate to slide through. Make sure it's water sealed, of course. Water's the devil on a wood boat. We've also taken these and we basically fiberglassed them all up. We made them stronger. Chris did a really nice job on that. Basically, we took the entire superstructure of the boat and we fiberglassed it. Super strong, super watertight. I mean, she's ready to go to battle now for sure. Following the same process that we've been following throughout the rest of the boat, where we haven't done any primer here. But what we did do is, you should always be learning, right? Everything's a learning process. So as we did go through the process of glassing and seeing seams and seeing divots and inconsistencies and weirdness, we started to do things a little bit of different process. And there's a lot less weirds and divots and overlapping glass here and seams. So that'll make a lot less final prep work to go ahead and then put some primer on and then figure out what little inconsistencies we have. You can see right away that, at least I can, that right away this is a lot better glass, and it's going to cause a lot less inconsistencies, which is going to cause a lot less time in final prep work in order to get primer and top coat on. Moving on, on this door, we were able to save this door. This is the original door, taken all the way down to the wood, filled in anywhere with cabesteel and chop strand and glass, and then glassed over, resin glassed over. So it's now a really strong. Basically, it's a brand new door. We tried to upcycle, recycle everything that we could, and not just go crazy and replacing everything, right? Because that gets expensive quick. So what we tried to do was we tried to recycle, upcycle, reuse, scavenge, whatever you want to call it, anything that we could before we just said, screw it, we're just going to throw it away and just replace it. Because like I said, that gets expensive real quick.